Hello, everyone. Welcome to another Daily Gym. This hasn't been so daily because it's, been 20 days since I've done one. Can't believe it. Today is Monday, December 30th, 2024. And today I want to talk about the more we want someone to be filled with love, the more money we should freely give to them. Now, a lot of you may really feel uncomfortable with the title of this episode, but I want to talk through it. So here's the thing. We as human beings in our current cultural, economic setup need money. We need money to get by. I mean, most of us. You could be quite extreme, living off the land in the forest, maybe on a farm somewhere and not need any money. But even then, in most countries, you still have to pay property tax. So there's still some form of money that is required. And so we need money to get by. And so how do we get money? I've talked about this before. There are various ways to get money, and I would say ways that are from very loving to very unloving or very indifferent to other people. So the very loving ways are to receive money through donations, money that is given with no strings attached. But you can go all the way down to the whole pillaging a village, where you come in, you burn down the whole village, you steal whatever you think you want to steal. There's a lot of physical violence involved, maybe killing people to take what you want, to take their money. And then everything in between, where there's just, instead of taking it through physical force, there is trade, but there is trade that is very untrusting. So people are watching each other and trade at the exact same moment, where people are lying about their prices and costs so that they can try to squeeze as much gain out of the other person, to people being employed, where, you get paid by one person, but then you are basically interacting and having transactions with other people in a more free, kind of non-trading way. So the thing is, I think our level of love highly correlates or is connected to the type of business model we have, the income model that we have. So if somebody is a thief, if somebody is going up and stealing money from people at gunpoint, it's going to be hard for that person to really open up and be loving, because if they open up and be more loving, if they see the people that they're interacting with as human beings who are struggling, who have worries and fears, and then it's hard for them to go up and point a gun at them and ask for their money. And if it's hard for them to get the money that way, they may not get money. And so what do they have to do? Now, maybe you could say, okay, they will slowly transition, and then as they open up a little bit, they would have to go get a different type of job. So a different way, rather, of receiving money. And sure, but changing a business model is hard, one. And two, if that business model works out, they can revert back to the old one. So as the heart opens up or closes off, I think we change business models, or we have the desire to. So if we want to have someone keep their heart really open and feel filled with love, then I think the best business model, the best income model, funding model, whatever you want to call it, is to give them money with no strings attached. Now, you may think that's crazy, but it's actually not that crazy. I think it happens in many families. Frankly, we give money to children a lot. We sometimes give money to a spouse. I think traditionally it's been the husband giving it to the wife, but often there is one partner who is making more money than the other and may give money to that partner. Sometimes the other partner doesn't make any money. My grandfather didn't want my grandma to work, and he wanted to provide for her, but she wanted to work. That's a side topic, I guess. But this idea of what happens when we give money to people with no strings attached. Now they don't have to exchange their services directly for money. So they don't have to work for money. That doesn't mean that they don't have to work, or that they don't want to work, or that they don't want to give back to society. It just means that they don't have to do it directly in exchange for money, which can give people a lot of freedom. and can allow people to be really honest with themselves and really honest with others, and it can allow them to love themselves and love others. Instead of forcing themselves to do something just because it might bring money, they can say, I don't have to do this because maybe this is not good for my health today. And I understand I promised this to people, but I also have to take care of myself. Now, in a lot of traditional jobs, you might get fired for that. Or you might go in anyways because of the fear of getting fired. And if you get fired again, you lose that financial benefit, the financial security that you have from it. And so, again, I think sometimes we have this maybe myth that if we just give money freely to people, they won't do anything. So it comes up in the conversation about universal basic income and some other things, but there are a lot of people who volunteer. Jimmy Carter, unfortunately, just passed away at the age of 100, the former president. And one thing I believe he was known for was volunteering so much with Habitat for Humanity. Now, if Jimmy Carter didn't have enough money, probably from the pension or whatever he got from being president, then he couldn't do that. He wouldn't have the time to be able to volunteer for Habitat for Humanity. My mother volunteered a lot at the schools when I was growing up, the parent-teacher organization, PTO, I think they called it for us. She was a president for a while. She was highly involved in the elementary and middle school and even the high school level. And then she did so much volunteer work on genealogy. Yes, a lot of it was for our own family's benefit, but you could say our own family. I mean, she got it up into the tens of thousands of people, I believe, in the family, verified. So it's interacting with lots of other people and lots of other families, and she would provide lots of answers and resources to people who are asking. And she even did something on this website called Find a Grave. And so she would monitor and maintain different grave sites, or at least the documentation of the grave sites, for a lot of other people who were trying to do genealogy as well. So she did a lot of work. But she received a lot of the money from my dad, who my dad was working. So she didn't do a lot of paid work, but doesn't mean she wasn't doing stuff. And I think it enabled her to be in a more free space where she, wanted to do what she wanted to do. And so I think about this because I think so often people, again, will tell me, just go get a job. But for me, to just go get a job means to step down the level of love and connection I have with other people. It means to... And that's fine. Maybe people say, okay, you're too loving. You need to be a little less loving to fit in. But damn it, don't we need some examples of people who are really loving, who are pulling society up? I talked to a friend once, and she said she wanted to work for the United Nations, but she thought she was too honest to work there. It's a problem. Sometimes if we get too honest with ourselves and with other people, it's hard to fit into environments that are more... quid pro quo, more I give you this, you must give me that, this matching environments. It could be really hard. Or if we're a matcher, it could be really hard to go in an environment where we're supposed to be a taker and you're supposed to screw everyone over because the world is out to get you. Our level of openness or open-heartedness seems to, again, connect so strongly with the type of funding or business model that we have. And if we want people in our lives to be so much more open, so much more loving, so much more filled with love, with their eyes are sparkling and so excited for the world and just vibrant, then I think we might have to provide for them financially. I say this about other people because, I've reflected on it myself, but this is also about other people. I've seen it so much in my life. If I have a friend who is really struggling in maybe an illegal kind of really cutthroat industry, and I want that person to be really open and loving, if I give them money, that can help them be open and loving because now they don't have to go back to that cutthroat industry. But if I stop, then maybe they go back because they have no other options. What are the options? And so it's like, I just think that if we want people to be really free to feel, to love, to be honest with themselves, then the most extreme thing that we could do is to give them money freely with no strings attached. And again, it's not a crazy idea. I think so many people do this in their families all around the world. So many people are given money and other types of support because we want them to be loving. We want them to feel loved. If we want people to feel loved, I think we have to freely give them money and freely give them love, with money just being one form of the love. So if we want people to feel loved, we have to freely give them love. We can't give them love and say, oh, I'm only going to give you this love if you give me this love back. And because then it's not really love. That's just a kind of an empty transaction. It's a forced transaction. Then people do things that they don't actually want to do, and we have to start lying to ourselves about, do I really want to do this? I'm pretending to do it. I'm only doing it because I have to. And it can create so much resentment and deterioration of relationships. So if we want really strong relationships, if we want people to love us deeply, and we want people to feel loved in life and spread that love in life, then I think the best way to do that is to give freely to them, to give love freely to them, especially financial love. So yeah, I got to stop going over 10 minutes, but this will be the end for today, and I hope to do a few more this week. Talk to you all soon. Bye.